How's it going, guys? Junior here with Any Mustangs, bringing you back another video. Today's video, we're gonna be finished building these motor mounts for the Coyote swap. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
As you can see, here's the motor mounts all finished up. We did a clear coat or paint and clear coat on these, and Alex is now going to be working on the transmission cross member here.
So for the transmission, I'm going to use the factory cross member here for the tranny. And right now on the transmission, the tail housing's here. The motor mount's going to be around this area here. So what I'm going to do is cut this part here, cut down. I think I'm gonna leave this right now, but so I'm just gonna cut down here. So remove this whole top part, and then that should give it enough clearance for the tail shaft. And I'm gonna end up welding a plate out here where the mount's gonna bolt down. So let's get this cut, and then we'll measure twice, cut once, but we're gonna cut once and measure twice. So. Alrighty, so that's gonna look like. I'm still gonna clean up the edges here, but I think if I just weld flat piece out about this much, that's gonna be right where the tranny mount will be. I will, what does that guy say, from the gusset it, top rope some metal here on the sides, just that way it makes it strong, it doesn't flex. Maybe even do double metal, you know, kind of. This one's pretty thin, but on the bottom here it had double, which it didn't matter. I think the bolt was here in the middle, but anyways, I'll do that, extend it here, do like little pieces coming out, and that should be for the motor mount. I had that as the tranny mount, which is out of a 99 to 04 Mustang, but that's not gonna work because this bolts to the tranny, but there's no studs. It bolts to the side of the car here on these bolts. I guess, well, just because it's offset, if it was lined up, I could make it work with this, but I'm gonna get one out of a Fox body. That one's pretty much just has the studs, or out of a 67 Mustang. That way it just has the two bolts going down. I can mount it, and that'll be it. So let's go see how it fits. So this is where the cross member fits. So the mount's gonna be here, and the bolts down here. So I'm probably gonna have to bolt a piece of metal, maybe a little bit angled down, and then make it kind of curve. But then I'll have to box it in a little, just so it doesn't, you know, we don't want it to just be going up and down here. But that would work, and you know, I can just use these bolts to mount this up here. So I don't have that mount to completely weld this today, because I think the one out of the 67 Mustang is a little bit shorter. It's only about 1.5 inches, and then it has the studs. I think the Fox body one, it's like 2 inches from what I was looking at the pictures. So I'm gonna go pick it up later, and I'll get the shorter one. That way I can just, you know, if I can just do a piece of metal right at the bottom of this, that'll make it easier, and do that. So, but this is how we'll bolt in there, so not too bad. You know, drive shaft will be right up here, and you know, as you can see, there's a little bit of movement here side to side. Once I cut those little tabs off the tranny, there'll be a little bit more movement, and I could potentially go up slightly, but I think this is the level I want to keep it, because I don't want it to be touching the top, especially for, you know, some of the wiring and stuff that's gonna have to be hooked up down here. So well, I'm gonna go pick up the mount, and then we'll I guess continue showing this mount here later once I do that. So alright, so I went ahead and finished the engine mounts here. So as you can see, they're all welded, put on there. So I'm not gonna tighten up the bolt because, you know, I still have to finish that tranny mount so far. And the nice thing with these mounts here, there's 4 washers, so it's about 1/2 inch push to the front, and I could potentially push the engine that 1/2 inch to the back if I need to. But I know we talked about the clearance here for the power steering lines. So right there's enough clearance where I can use the filter. I don't have to use like a remote filter or anything. So that's probably where I'm gonna leave it. But I can fit my fingers behind it, so I can move it a little bit. So engine is pretty much in there. So I'm gonna go pick up, like I said, the tranny mount and finish the tranny mount, get that jack out of there, and that engine tranny will be completely bolted in the car. But we will put the engine as well out to do some other things around there. So next, let's get the tranny mount finished. So I went ahead and found the tranny mount that would work. So this is for a 67 Ford Mustang. So these bolt holes are the same distance. That's what bolts into the tranny. And the nice thing is it's got the long holes there. So how the engine mounts have, you know, about 1/2 inch to go backwards, I can bolt this on and it'll have close to 1/2 inch, maybe about 1/4 inch, 3/8. I can always make those holes a little bit longer if I need to. With the 67 Mustang, it is shorter, so it's only about 1.5 inches maybe. The one for the Fox body was about 2 inches thick, maybe 2.5. So I got some nuts here that would fit, some bolts to bolt to the tranny, and I made a cardboard template here just with the holes. So I'm gonna mount this to the tranny, bolt this in there just to see, you know, the level with the cross member, and then I can always trim this cardboard how I want it, you know, how thick or how long, and then I can use this as my template to cut the piece of metal to finish fabricating the mount. So gonna go under the car and then see how this all comes together. Transmission mounts bolted on here. I will put some washers here, just that way it seats better. And so I already started working on the template. So this is gonna go right here. As kind of expected, the tranny is a little bit lower than the cross member, but you know, I can either just weld it like that, so it's going to be kind of in an angle going down, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to put some reinforcements on the side. So so I could probably just weld it here to the back, and then you know, with the side here, it's gonna just kind of keep it from going up and down. I was thinking of lowering the tranny just a little bit, but I think I'll probably just leave it at that height anyway. So pretty much I'll have to cut a piece of metal this size, weld it here, and then just make, you know, pieces here on the side so it doesn't go up and down. I do have the thicker metal, so I might use that, but I might just use the stuff that's like this thick, and then maybe just put, you know, 2 of them together. I think the plate that I use for the engine, that's kind of way too thick anyway, since I'm gonna reinforce it here on the side. So but yeah, pretty simple. This cross member just made it easier to get this made. So I might see if I cut the metal here, if I can put like a little angle on it, you know, going down like here and then going back straight over here. That might make it just kind of look nicer than just it being kind of, you know, looking down. So I'm gonna get this template and then go and cut a piece of metal and see what I can start fabricating. This had this thicker piece here, and so I think I'm just gonna get my cutoff wheel and cut that out. I mean, it doesn't matter, I can just weld around, and then here just my weld's gonna be thicker, but we'll see what I do on that little area there. Okay, so I went ahead and made my little bracket. Still hot, so I did put 2 pieces of metal together, and on my bearing press I was able to put a little angle on it, so you know it's got a little angle, so that way it's not just kind of facing down. So I'm gonna go underneath the car now, place this under with the bolts, and then I should be able to tack it into the cross member. I'm probably gonna take the cross member off really quick and clean it with the grinder, that way when I weld it's all clean in that area. But I'll tack it, and then I can take it out of the car and finish welding it. Put it back, just make sure everything lines up, and then I'll make little brackets like I mentioned before, just to make sure this doesn't flex, because even though it's not that thick right now, it's probably about an eighth, a little bit over an eighth of an inch, you know, it will still flex, and I wouldn't want it to crack. So if I put the pieces of metal going this way, that's going to keep it from flexing up and down. So I'm going to go under the car, get the cross member out, clean it, put it back on, and then I'll put it on there, tack it, and show you guys what it's going to look like under there. Okay, so this is what it looks like, kind of just in place. So I'm gonna tack it right now. I probably just put like a small tack here, one on the back, one on the other side, just to kind of hold it. Then I'll take the vice grips out, and then just take it out and weld it there. So as far as everything looks pretty good. You know, if it drops just a little bit, I'm okay with it. But I did end up taking that little double weld that was on this cross member, that extra thick piece, just that way it's actually pretty flat on here. The other thing was gonna make it be kind of spaced out, so I just took some time to grind that off. So I'm gonna get some welding done here, and then that would almost be done with the tranny mount there. Okay, went ahead and cleaned this cross member off. You know, just that way whatever I weld is decently clean. It's nice to see that there's good metal underneath, you know, the surface rust on some of these parts here. So I'm gonna put that in there, put the little bracket I made, make sure everything looks good, tack it in place, pull it out, and finish welding it. And then I'll have to put it back on there, make sure it's still good, and then start fabricating all the little reinforcements. Alright, so went ahead and welded this all the way in. So not too bad weld, with the Lincoln machine, so pretty cool. Like I said, I'm still gonna box this in a little bit, but today I ran out of time. I gotta go do some other things, so I'll probably show it next time. Actually, when I pull the engine, I'll finish this. This should support the tranny as it is, but it's gonna have a piece of metal from here all the way down, and that's gonna just make this kind of like boxed in. I'm touching a lot because it's really hot. So, and then I'm gonna weld this piece of metal that was already in there all the way around, and then, like I said, the little piece that goes like this, just to keep this from flexing. So, but that is it. Pretty simple mount. Just it worked out good. So I'm gonna put it back in there, and then I'll just show you guys what it looks like once I get the jack out of there, and I'll finish it up once the engine's out. But pretty simple. Even if you're, I guess technically we're putting like a newer Dodge transmission in this car, I mean, this would work out. Alright, so the engine's out of the car. I'm gonna finish with the tranny mount and then do the shock towers here. Cut a couple other things, but finishing up this tranny mount, so just getting some templates to cut out the metal for all these areas here. Once I do that, I'll move over there to the actual engine bay. Alright, so got the tranny mount all welded all around. Just getting it painted there, and got the shock towers cut out. They're right there. I do need to go buy some cutoff wheels because I wore them out, and so I'm gonna go get those. That way I can cut the pieces to weld in there. So this is really not necessary because the engine fit in there, but I want to kind of keep it a little bit cleaner on top. Once I replace this fender aprons, I mean, it's just gonna look just smoother here on top. I'll probably end up getting rid of a lot of the holes that aren't necessary with the new ones. This one, I mean, they're rusted, so but just I wanted to do that now that I have the engine out one last time. I cut another bracket over there that I'm not needing, and then I am gonna work on that steering column. I have to cut it and put the coupler, as well as I may have to shift it a little bit just to get a little bit more clearance for the headers. I think I only needed like a 1/4 inch, and even with cutting it, that might take care of it, but I might still shift it a little bit. So we'll see on that, but I'll work on that after I get this welded. So I'm gonna go to the store and then cut these out, and I'll show you once they're on there welded. This is the driver's side all done. I still have to just wire brush it and then, you know, give it a little coat of paint so it looks better. But now I'm gonna go ahead and finish this side. So I just cut the template out of cardboard and then traced it to the metal, and, you know, just hold it on there. You know, I still have to sand a little bit just to make it fit better. Start welding it, and just go slowly, you know, a small area at a time, and just weld it all together. Okay, so I got both sides all done there. I'm gonna put the engine in. I did cut these are the tabs that were in the transmission, so they were sticking about an inch out from here, and this is what was hitting the tunnel. So I just cut those off. Gonna put the engine tranny back in. I haven't gone to the steering column, and I'll probably get to that later, but gonna put it back in. Tranny mount should be able to hold the tranny this time. Mount the engine with the engine mounts there, and then we'll be pretty much, I don't think, you know, knock on wood, but I don't think I'm gonna have to pull the engine out, at least not hopefully till I get it running. But it's not that hard to get it out, so let me get this back in there, and then we'll be set to keep going. Okay, engine's in there. No, not too bad for me by myself to get the engine mounts lined up. Hardest part is to get those washers in there, but, you know, I just used a screwdriver to kind of pry on the mounts just to kind of move it and then put them in there. Not too bad. So now I'm gonna go ahead and install the tranny mount down here, so hopefully this one installs just fine and we'll be all set. Okay, so the transmission mount's on there. I just have to tighten up all the bolts, but no jack down here. Transmission's good. There's nothing hitting the tunnel, so everything looks good here. I'm gonna just unhook the engine hoist, and engine transmission is officially in there 100%. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, any questions, leave them below. Subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next one.